Hello and welcome to the virtual side event of the United Nations High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development 2026. It is organized by Think Tank AlterContacts, NGO in Special Consultative Status with the Economic and Social Council. My name is Yulia Skupchenko. I'm the co-founder of AlterContacts and your host for today. It is wonderful to see so many participants joining us live. Thank you for your time and interest in this important topic of closing the skills gap for the Agenda 2030. To share the lessons from European partnerships, I'm joined here by 5 wonderful experts representing education, science, research, and entrepreneurship. Each of them also represents an Erasmus Plus project funded by the European Union. I'm proud to add that AlterContacts is actually part of all these projects. In short, Erasmus Plus is the program to support education, training, youth, and sport in Europe, which goes very much in line with the Sustainable Development Goals and Agenda 2030. We hope that you will see these projects as concrete and replicable models of how education, skills, and multi-stakeholder partnerships can directly accelerate progress towards achieving sustainable development goals. So this, from my side, was the longest speech you will hear today. There will be no slides or long presentations. We will do our best to keep this event as interactive as possible. So, I'm very happy to see in the audience today partners from the European projects, United Nations volunteers, many participants across different, I think it is 93 countries in total that we have here. And we had more than 500 registered participants, so they will be joining as we speak, I'm sure. But for those who are already here, today I would like to start not with our speakers, but with you, the participants. And the question I would like to ask you to start the session is, when you think about closing the skills gap for Agenda 2030, what is one question that comes to your mind? Please open the chat and put your answer/question in the chat. From a global partnership standpoint, how can we make sure that cutting-edge AI educational tools actually reach students in developing countries so the digital divide doesn't get wider? I think this is one of the topics we're going to address today. How can we bridge gaps between rural and urban communities? That is also an excellent question, and one that we have been trying to address for the few last years, doing lots of field work on that. How can we make sure of equal opportunities if we move to study in Asian countries, specifically South Korea? That's very specific indeed. Maybe we'll find out in one of the breakout sessions. How do we ensure that no one is left behind in developing future skills? Excellent. And I really like that you're actively participating with these questions. I think we already got, okay, how do we bridge the gap between the skills the market demands today and the sustainable mindsets we need? That is wonderful priming for our discussion today. And it's excellent to see that the participants come very well prepared with this topic. I think we can go, seeing how you are so well prepared with this topic, I think we can go one step further and try the think tank method. So at AlterContacts, we believe that everyone is an expert in something. And by sharing the knowledge each of us has, we can achieve a better future together. So since there are many different professionals in our audience across academia, research, civil society, NGO, private sector, and public authorities from 90 countries, 93 countries actually, maybe it is good to exchange the knowledge that we have with each other. So, while we will be beginning the conversation in the plenary room with our speakers, I would like to suggest you an activity as well. From the chat, all the questions that you see, choose one that resonates with you or you have something to share on the topic, and reply directly in the chat. That way, we can exchange with each other the knowledge we have and grow the intellectual wealth of this group. And in the meantime, let me move on to our wonderful speakers. Let's give our experts actually an opportunity to share the lessons from the European partnerships. The first part of the event will be in a format of a round table dedicated to 5 projects. After that, you will be invited to join one of the 5 breakout rooms, each dedicated to a different project. There, you can take part in the conversation directly with the expert and, of course, your fellow participants. And with this introduction done, I think we can begin the round table. Let me start with a topic that gets a lot of attention these days, is artificial intelligence in education. I'm sure many of you faced this either opportunity or challenge in what you do. And today, the project that represents artificial intelligence is AI for VET for AI, an EU co-funded Erasmus Plus project within Centers of Vocational Excellence. It aims to equip vocational education and training systems across 11 countries with practical skills in artificial intelligence for the labor market. Its approach allows educational programs to rapidly integrate real-world AI applications, with the ultimate goal to help learners and teachers turn AI into responsible innovation and quality jobs, supporting a fair digital transition aligned with the Agenda 2030. With this, I would like to introduce Maya, Head of Algebra Lab at the Algebra Bernays University in Croatia, and the Coordinator of AI for VET for EI. So, Maya, based on the findings of the AI for VET for AI project, could you please share with us what happens when the jobs of tomorrow evolve faster than the education can keep up with?
Hi, Julia. Thank you very much for the invitation and for the opportunity to discuss these indeed timely questions with this wonderful audience. I have been reading in the chat very many super relevant questions and also comments that would have been useful to have been incorporated in our project at the time when we were drafting it and at the time when we were thinking about it. So I'm quite looking forward also to the discussion in the chat room a bit later. Now to the question that you asked on the situation when the jobs of tomorrow, I would even say jobs of today, evolve faster than the education can keep up. This is basically a situation which we sometimes refer to as a quiet crisis. It's a moment when skills that have been imparted to the people age faster than people can indeed reskill. This is the moment when inequalities widen, as we have also seen from the comments in the chat, where most of the people are quite rightly concerned with the situation in which the already existing inequalities will unfortunately widen unless we are able to take some relevant and indeed meaningful action. And this is also a situation where vocational learners in particular are pushed to the margins of what we usually term as green and digital transition, instead of being a part of them. Vocational education and training system feel this crisis together with all other parts of the educational system super acutely, because they are expected to prepare students for workplaces which are AI enabled with curricula and with the tools that were very often designed for some past situations. So for yesterday and definitely not for 2030. When we were designing our project, I think this was in 2022, we at that point had a lot of sort of very many worries regarding the implications of AI in our workforce. But this was the moment before the full force, that's very important, the full force of the generative AI will be unleashed on our societies. So this is super important because we were at that point not quite yet aware, even though we were sort of having a very, very strong hunch of what was to come. So what we encountered is that it will not be possible to fix this skill gap one classroom at a time, but rather what needs to be done is to build an AI skills ecosystem around all different stakeholders that take part in the educational ecosystems themselves, meaning vocational education training centers, universities, VT schools, but then also companies, NGOs, and all different AI experts across Europe. So together, in this very diverse ecosystem that we created, we identified real AI skill gaps. We did a very thorough analysis across 13 different countries. And based on this analysis, we co-designed new curricula and learning pathways that are now being tested in formats like MOOCs or AI campuses or AI incubators, so that we can see how our content or if our content can indeed evolve as fast as the technology itself. What we also learned in the process is that it is crucial to invest in the people who make this change possible, meaning above all teachers, trainers, and educational leaders. And we also saw that if we give them an opportunity through joint trainings and continuous exchange, we also can equip them with concrete tools and confidence to really integrate artificial intelligence into everyday teaching with strong attention to ethics, inclusion, and real-world use cases that matter for their local economies and local sustainable development initiatives. This would in effect mean that a learner in a small technical school can access the same cutting-edge AI learning experiences as a student in any major university network. So what we hope we have demonstrated is that when we arrive to a situation where jobs evolve faster than the education, the response is never panic or permanently delay, but rather to partner. So if you partner with the right set of stakeholders, you can really turn all those stakeholders, which may have been late adopters, into early movers in this process of transition towards AI-empowered teaching. And you can also make sure that your learners are not the missing generation of the 2030 agenda, but indeed a driving force behind it.
Thank you very much, Maya, for sharing this. In such a short time, you managed to bring together such a diverse set of aspects that need to be taken into account when we design an educational program, and especially when it is about artificial intelligence. And with this, I think what would be interesting to know is from our next project is the artificial intelligence is a topic that is widely discussed, and we hear about it every day. But there are many topics that are not yet, are equally important, but they're not yet part of our everyday conversation. And for example, one of them is ocean literacy. BlueGov is an EU co-funded Erasmus Plus cooperation partnership in adult education that helps coastal authorities and communities embed ocean literacy into everyday decision-making. It aims to strengthen their skills for climate-resilient, sustainable coastal governance. In line with the Agenda 2030, pilot sites in the Baltic Sea region of Germany, the Mediterranean coast of Croatia, and the Atlantic coast of Portugal will host capacity building workshops and awareness campaigns that will test and refine the tools developed within the project for wider use across other countries. Let me introduce Dr. Suzanne Kleiman, Chair and Professor of Sustainability Science and Applied Geography at the University of Greifswald in Germany.
Hello, good afternoon from Germany, and thanks to Julia for inviting me and for presenting the BlueGov project already. Our project just started in February this year, so we are in the relative beginning of the project, but we have already some insights from a lot of interviews at all three pilot regions, at the Atlantic region in Portugal, from the Mediterranean in Croatia, and from the Baltic Sea in Germany. But there are still general insights, and we will specify them when the project evolves, of course. So when we start from the first insights, the results are quite simple. The issue with ocean literacy is not just a knowledge issue. Of course, knowledge is very, very important. The knowledge gap, to close it, to go towards more skills, but it's not just about more experts. Of course, knowledge matters, and we need to understand marine ecosystems and climate impacts, pollution, eutrophication, all these problems. But we also have to translate this knowledge into practical decisions. And our project is about blue governance, so there's a very strong governance issue. So we could already identify 3 dimensions of gaps. The first I mentioned already, it's the translation gap. So how do we translate the invisible marine processes into something people can really understand and act upon? So this is why, for example, skills in the direction of visual communication, storytelling, local examples, digital tools, and also possibly innovative things like immersive media matter a lot. So that's the first gap we could identify from the first interviews. And then there's, of course, more obvious an implementation gap. So many stakeholders are interested indeed, but they lack time, staff, resources, but also ready-to-use materials. That's a result of the interviews, and the concrete how-to examples, so best practice examples. So a platform alone is not enough. So just sending a link is not enough, that people will not use it. So we need training that is really practical, that is really local and linked to the real tasks. So this is also why BlueGov includes the development of training modules and a practical governance toolbox. And these training modules are meant to close the skills gap into a structured way. So by helping the coastal actors applied in their governance context, but also towards better communication, stakeholder engagement, and sustainable coastal development. So this is where the capacity building work led by you, Julia, and Massimo, by AlterContacts is really very important, and not only to provide information, but to create real learning spaces where people can practice how to work with different actors, different interests, and this different local realities. I think that's something we can see already from comparing Croatia, Portugal, and Germany, how this local context matters so much. So then finally, the third gap in relation to the skills gap is the participation and trust gap. So we often reach, when we lead these interviews, the already convinced people. And the challenge is to reach those who are not yet interested in gaining better skills, and who are skeptical or who feel that environmental policies are imposed from outside. So we have to gain trust to close this gap. So this is why I think also the so-called soft skills are actually central in this ocean literacy and blue governance area. So this means, for example, facilitation skills matter, because coastal governance brings together these different actors with very different interests, very conflicting sometimes. So in other words, we need enough skills to ask the right questions. So very simple, but we sometimes forget it. So that also the right decisions can be made. And it needs communication and cooperation skills to bring others to that process. So concluding, for me, the key message is that closing the skills gap for the 2030 agenda is not only about producing more experts or more knowledge, it's about enabling non-experts with decision-making responsibility to act or to ask better questions and communicate across sectors. Yeah, and finally, to build trust as a first step and to stay with this trust. So thanks a lot for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Suzanne. This was really an interesting introduction to this topic of soft skills as well as the ocean literacy, because I think for many projects, that's one of the key aspects that need to be taken care of. So this gives actually a great bridge to the next project we're going to discuss, and the next topic is sustainable tourism. Just a few words about the project. Sustainable ecotourism awareness is an EU co-funded Erasmus Plus project that helps tourism businesses in Italy, Turkey, and Malta turn their growing demand for sustainable travel into concrete and certified practice. It does this by training vocational education providers and tourism consultants in green certification standards, who then mentor small and medium-sized tourism enterprises on the path to certification. A dedicated AI-powered e-learning platform, which is in the making, will tailor the training to each operator's language, sector, and prior knowledge, making green skills development more accessible, scalable, and aligned with the national legislation and local environmental conditions. So today, we have with us Daniela De Gregorio, the head of the EU Grant Office at the Institute of Mediterranean Studies of the National Research Council of Italy, and also the coordinator of this project. Daniela, in simple terms, how does the project help tourism businesses in Italy, Turkey, and Malta make their daily operations more sustainable?
Thank you, Julia. Thank you for this wonderful and big, huge audience. And thank you for the slide that summarizes in a very powerful way the project. Is very clear, because I think because AlterContact is a part of the consortium, is in charge of communication, and you know that they make this work very well. Okay, thank you for the questions. The C project, C is the acronym of Sustainable Ecotourism Awareness, aims to help tourism businesses in Italy, Turkey, and Malta make their daily operations more sustainable by combining training, mentoring, digital innovation, and practical support for green certification. That, you know, is not a mandatory in Europe, not yet, is a a volunteering certification. So it is very important to support and to convince the tourism operators to try to achieve this green certification. So rather than simply promoting sustainability as a concept, the project provides tourism operators with concrete tools and guidance to integrate sustainable practice into their everyday activity. So the project starts by developing the project is started 1 year ago. So we have already made this specialized training course for vocational trainers, consultants, and tourism professionals on sustainable tourism management and international recognized green certification such as Ecolabel, Green Key, or GSTC standards. Let me say that even if the partner were from Italy, Turkey, and Malta, the participants were from all over the world. So thanks again to AlterContact to these promoting activities. We delivered a very interesting course with worldwide participation. After this training course, another key activity is the delivery of mentoring and coaching programs for tourism operators. What does it mean? Each participating tourism operators will receive a personalized support to analyze its current practice, its current state of art in carrying on sustainable philosophy, sustainable activities, and in order to meet and to fill this gap. The final output will be the fact that the tourism operators joining this program, and we expected more than 20, will deliver a sustainable plan. And 9 among these 21 tourism operators will achieve a tourism certification in relation to the country, because since the green certification is as I have already underlined, not mandatory, but volunteering, each country support different kind of green certification. So, for example, in the European green certification is Ecolabel. In Italy, we have the ISO 40101 certification. In Turkey, GSTC certification. So it's a very important the harmonization of this green certification, as in these slides Giulia showed. A connection with the first project based on intelligence artificial is that in this project even we have as a tool artificial intelligence platform that will support self-training activities by consultants and by tourism operators that want to improve the skills and competencies in this topic. So we try to design and build and achieve a green certification support hub able to meet the different needs at the different level of the business operators. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Daniela. I think it's very nice how also the projects connect between themselves, right? So I think it also the topic of sustainable tourism, of training and retraining professionals using advanced technologies is also bridging very nicely into the next topic and the next project, which is circular aquaculture. The project representing circular aquaculture today is CircuTech. It is an EU co-funded Erasmus Plus project that supports the transition of European aquaculture toward more circular and sustainable waste management models. It develops a vocational training program for aquaculture workers that combines circular economy and eco-design principles. It will use immersive virtual and augmented reality tools to help strengthen skills for the green and digital transition. To present the insights from CircuTech, I'd like to introduce Mariana Sá, a sustainability specialist in marine sciences, representing one of the project partners, the Portuguese Association of Aquacultures. So Mariana, welcome. And could you please share with us what specific challenges in aquaculture waste management does CircuTech address, and how are these challenges linked to the implementation of the Agenda 2030?
Hello, thank you, Eula, for everything and for presenting the CircuTech so well. And regarding your question, CircuTech is based on the circularity principles of Muscat applied to aquaculture, and also incorporates the 3Rs framework: reduce, reuse, and recycle. And actually, this project addresses very concrete challenge in aquaculture waste management. There are wastes that are harder to valorize, such as plastics from feed bags or wood from pallets, which are often collected and sent for incineration or other final treatment. In these cases, the most important response is clearly to reduce the waste at the source. But CircuTech also shows that in aquaculture, not all waste should be seen only as a discard. Some streams can be transformed into resources, such as nutrient-rich production waters. Instead of being simply discharged, these waters can be used into more advanced systems, such as integrated multi-trophic aquaculture systems or RAS systems, where the water and the nutrients are recirculated and used to support the growth of different organisms. These are solutions that require more technology, obviously, more investment and specialized labor, but they represent a very strong response from a sustainability perspective. In addition, the project also promotes the use of renewable energy, more efficient feeds, and the valorization of byproducts, for example, the production of marine collagen or ingredients for pet food. And this is precisely where the CircuTech project aligns with the 2030 Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals. By promoting sustainable aquaculture, the project contributes to responsible consumption and production while supporting zero hunger. And at the same time, it fosters innovation and circular industry practices, strengthens international cooperation, promotes knowledge sharing, and the development of a training program with real impact in the sector. Thank you for this opportunity one more time.
Thank you very much, Mariana. It's really incredible how well you and actually all the expert speakers we have today have condensed an immense amount of thinking behind and analysis and all kinds of work into just a 3-minute segment. It's really impressive. And I see in the chat that there is a lot of interest to each project. And I see that there are questions popping up to each speaker about the different aspects. So for example, somebody's asking about augmented and virtual reality for CircuTech. And previously there were questions about tourism. And it's really wonderful that we have such a great group, such a great audience today that is so engaged with us in this conversation and considers this topic so important. And we have one more project to present to you, to share with you. And many of the aspects, technological, educational, were already touched on. So that's very nicely building into the final project we would like to share with you today. in the first part of the round table. Okay, so now I have shared with you the infographic for this project, and let me just share a short introduction. Green Scope is an Erasmus Plus cooperation partnership in higher education that helps close the skills gap in environmental monitoring by building students' and educators' capacity in Earth observation and LiDAR. It amplifies institutional capacity to integrate geospatial technologies into curricula and to connect teaching with the real-world sustainability challenges, especially in climate resilience. To speak about this topic and about this project, I would like to introduce Elena Pavic, researcher at the Algebra Lab of the Algebra Bernays University in Croatia and the coordinator of Green Scope. So, Elena, welcome, and please let us know what you think about this question. If we already have the data to understand our planet's challenges, what is stopping us from solving them?
Hey, thank you, Julia, for introducing both me and the Green Scope project. And thank you for the question. It's a really important one, and I'll try to explain it in a very simple way. So yes, the truth is that we do have a lot of data about our planet, but the real issue is why it still isn't enough on its own. So every day, satellites are circulating around our planet and watching it. So they collect data about forests being cut down, rivers and lakes shifting, cities heating up, and many more fingerprints of the climate change, which are appearing in many different regions about the world. So technology is already here and it is incredibly powerful. But why are we still struggling to respond to the climate change issues is because the data on its own simply doesn't do anything. So it just sits in the servers that are where it's being collected. And what actually creates the real impact is people who know how to turn this data into decisions, plans, and actions. So what we have seen during our research is that one of the biggest gaps is the number of professionals who can bridge this gap between interesting data, interesting maps, and the real change that happens on the ground. So this is where Green Scope steps in, because in this project we work together with several universities around Europe to give students and educators practical skills in Earth observation and LiDAR. So instead of learning these concepts in theory, our students will have the chance to roll up their sleeves and work with real satellite images and LiDAR point clouds. So we will work together with them to identify some real problems in the areas that they actually live in, such as monitoring forests or assessing flood risks or understanding the land use change. And in this way, they will analyze the data and produce some outputs that will be that can be then further used for supporting more sustainable land management and development. So in simple terms, in Green Scope, we are building this human capacity to learn how to use the technology that we already have and how to use it responsibly and sustainably.
Thank you very much, Helena. I think this was a wonderful conclusion of the project of the roundtable project presentation. And one thing that I especially picked up on from your opening statement is that it is up to us to turn the information we get into decisions that we make. It, of course, applies to policymakers, but it also applies to each of us in our daily lives, in our daily activities, in our work and professional life. Work and personal life, sorry. So I think there's a lot of interest to each project that has been presented, and it's wonderful. We are so excited that we managed to prepare an interesting event for you. This is just the beginning. I would like to introduce the second part of the event, which would be the breakout rooms. Do not worry. If you feel like just continue listening, you can also do that. It's not a breakout room with two people where you have to talk. You do not have to talk if you do not want to, but it will give you an opportunity to engage in the conversation with our expert. So in a moment, I will create 5 breakout rooms, 1 per each project. You already noticed which one you like more or which one resonates with what you do in your professional life. While I'm creating the groups and the rooms, excuse me, maybe my co-founder Massimo Mercuri can do a little introduction to that part or instructions on how to then join the breakout rooms. Maybe you can tell a moment what's going to happen inside the room, as you will be moderating one of them.
Basically, what is going to happen is that each room will be led by one of the experts that just spoke in the round table, that just gave the short intro and answered the question of each project. So you will have an opportunity to ask questions, basically to have a conversation. In each room, there will be a conversation about the specific project, about what they have learned on the project and what worked, what not, or anything that you would like to know. And also is an opportunity to connect, of course.
All right. Thank you very much for explaining what's going to happen inside the rooms. The rooms are now open. I kindly ask the speakers to join their respective room. Let's see how that goes. And for everybody else, as Massimo just said, please choose the room you would like to join. This activity will take 20 minutes, so you have plenty of time to ask questions, get your answers, share your thoughts with other participants. And we will see each other all back in the plenary room in 20 minutes. I think by now, many will be brought back here to the main room. Yes, the number of participants is growing very fast.
It felt so short.
Sorry, we actually reached the time that the event should officially end, but
well,
I did not want to wait. I did not want to finish that early. So
because really there was a lot of interest, and it started really to get to snowball. So that was really beautiful. But I think it's no problem if we continue on the time. I mean, maybe some cannot stay, but if the ladies are willing,
if you permit me to do the official proceedings, for the moment. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining the breakout rooms. I hope the discussion was exciting. One more thing we need to do before some of you will have to leave is in the chat. Please write what is your main takeaway? What is your main takeaway from today's session? And for the speakers that are here with us, I would like to ask 1 minute, 1 minute conclusion, 1 minute takeaway on your side of what was this event like? What was the interaction like? How did the breakout room go? Whatever comes to your mind, and you can share with us in 1 minute. So I will start with Maya, because she was the first one to share the project. So Maya, if you can please share your takeaway with us.
So my takeaway is based on the discussion that we had in the breakout room, and it is that independently or where we come from, what we have seen with this technological revolution is that at the end, we all share the same underlying concerns as teachers, as edtech professionals, as students. And that is, on the one hand, how to use AI in order to make the teaching and learning more inclusive, more adjusted to the needs of our students. But then on the other hand, how to make sure that the speed of the AI revolution doesn't make our teaching obsolete and doesn't make it old-fashioned, and how to support, this also came quite clearly, how to support teachers and trainers who are a part of either the adult learning systems or higher education and primary and secondary school systems, how to support them to upskill, because until they upskill, we will have problems and challenges with upskilling of students and workers. And currently, the pressure for upskilling on teachers, which has always been there, is reaching really worrying levels, to the extent that we already know now that there are teachers who are really struggling and are having issues with their mental health to catch up and to be sure that they indeed can serve the benefit and the needs of their students best.
Thank you very much, Maya. I think once again, you managed to condense a very complex discussion and a very interesting findings into a very short statement, for which I'm very grateful, because it allows also the participants who were not able to be in your room to catch up with this very important conversation. So thank you very much, Maya. And I would like to continue with Suzanne. Let me spotlight you. Suzanne, the same question goes to you. What is your main takeaway from today's event and the breakout discussion?
For this question, my main takeaway in general is that I'm very much impressed about this huge interest in this question, that Friday in Europe evening and in Asia even night is already late, and nevertheless there were so much participants asking questions in the chat, and so this is very encouraging to see. And I love the other projects. I think I can learn a lot from them, and good to see that there are so much other European projects which are exciting. My main takeaway from the breakout group is that there's a lot of interest in ocean literacy, and that it's also a much broader issue than I thought. There were questions related to international shipping and so on. And this is, of course, something we don't have in our project so much. We are focusing more on the local communities and individual behavior, but that there are much broader and also extremely important questions one should follow and include. So that was inspiring for me to hear these questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Suzanne. Indeed, the topic of ocean literacy is extremely wide. Depending on which office you enter, it can touch on international shipping, or it can touch on sanitation on the beach, or even the sustainability in tourism, which is another project. And with this, I would like to give the floor to Daniela. Please, Daniela, what is your main takeaway from today?
Yes, thank you, Julia. My main takeaway is a incredible energy by the other project, because the other projects are very, very interested. I'd like to know more about the other project presented. A strong energy from students, from people all over the world that wanted to understand what is the future, what is their future. So I was thinking that even if the powerful people of the world wanted to present the world as a single, a unique global marketplace, However, the answers must instead be specific and tailored to different needs, because the question from the different people from different world showed the different perspective, the different level of needs, of a problem, and of expectations. So we have this mandatory duty, no, to give answers, tailored answers based on different context. Thank you for this lesson.
Thank you very much, Daniela. Indeed, it's a very spot on, I think, what you mentioned about tailoring the global 2030 agenda towards the local context, towards the hyper-local context. Actually, last year, the written statement of AlterContacts to the high-level political forum was published, and it was precisely about the youth engagement has to be hyper-local. That was how it's called. And actually, while everybody was in breakout rooms, we received the news that this year's statement on rural youth development was now also published within the high-level political forum. But I think there will be an email coming up from us with all the links about the projects, links to all the speakers. Definitely, we will publish this recording, so you will have a chance to catch up with this. There will be some sort of documentation coming out from their breakout rooms so that you can one way or another follow what you have missed in other rooms. But we really wanted to bring you all 5 projects. And with this, I would like to jump to Mariana Sa, representing Project Circutec. Let me spotlight you. Mariana, what is your main takeaway today?
Yeah, thank you again, Julia. My main take is touching a little bit on the answers of the colleagues that from the other projects. And today I realized that wherever that we came from, we are together worried about the same subjects. Obviously, each one with a different perspective, with a different knowledge, and this knowledge is ready to share to everybody. And this is the thing that touched me more. This knowledge sharing between all kind of people. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mariana. Yes, indeed, we started the event with the sharing the knowledge among the participants, first posing the question with the participants, then answering those questions also with the participants, and also to see the collaboration between different projects, how you have already referenced each other. Thank you very much for this. And I would like, last but not least in any way, the project Green Scope that was presented to you on environmental monitoring. I would like to give the floor to Elena Pavic, who will also share with us her key takeaway from this event.
Thank you, Julia. So the main takeaway from the Green Scope room discussion is that we all basically have similar challenges, but we have the same needs. So we spoke about participants were mentioning landslides in Africa, overheating cities in Asia, floods, droughts. So a lot of different environmental issues, but the point was that we are lacking these practical ways to turn the information about these topics into the local actions. But what really positively surprised me is that we came to the conclusion that the project outputs can be adapted far beyond our small European partnership. So if we keep that spirit, then basically what we develop together in the Green Scope can travel from one region to another and still make sense.
Thank you very much, Elena. And I think you're being modest, because having 5 nations of Europe in the project, that's already quite a lot. But it's very, very nice what you mentioned about expanding the reach of the insights, of the findings that we will have in this project towards other regions. And hopefully with this event, people who joined your breakout room will send you the connect request, maybe send some request for information about the project. We will try to maintain the connection between all the participants, of course. And thank you very much again to all the speakers for sharing your expertise, for sharing your time and knowledge with us. Thank you to all the participants. Thank you to the partners of the European projects that were featured. Thank you to the United Nations volunteers. And thank you to the representatives of 93 different countries that were here with us today. It's really, truly United Nations. And the main takeaways from our speakers were on exchange of knowledge, of localizing that the findings that we have and the measures that we take, on using the information to make better decisions, on building partnerships in order to achieve something, and of course taking whatever we have learned from the European partnerships out into the world, where we see that there's so much positive reception. With this, I think I would like to thank the organizing team of AlterContacts, and especially my co-founder, Massimo Mercuri. And once again, thank you to all the participants for your time. With this, the official part of the virtual side event to the High Level Political Forum 2026 by AlterContacts is complete. With this, I officially close the event, and we will see you next time.